yes, quite honestly gutted. If you had a gun to my head and said, what fight are you more excited for? I'd probably say Volkanovski, Ortega over the Ngannou-Stipe fight. I said it there. I said it.
Win.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, so very, very nice card this weekend, but one can't help but think, what if Ortega versus Volkanovski didn't get called off, but it did. It's heartbreaking news, but what can you do? What are your thoughts on the situation, Will? Yes, play that song.
What are my
Play it on the
thoughts?
world's smallest violin.
Quite honestly, absolutely gutted. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, and that's the videos downloaded from the last one that I exited. Happy days. Side note.
Nice.
So going back to my point, yes, quite honestly gutted. If you had a gun to my head and said, what fight are you more excited for? I'd probably say Volkanovski, Ortega over the Ngannou-Stipe fight. I said it there. I said it.
Guilty. Guilty as charged.
I was just looking forward to it so much. We forget about Volkanovski being the fourth pound for pound in the rankings at the moment and being an absolute champ. Yes, we can look at, and don't, I am definitely guilty of this, by the way, of looking at those Max fights, being a Max fan, but also just how I thought it went. We're all guilty of sort of saying, Max Holloway should have maybe won that, but he didn't. He didn't, and Volkanovski is the champ, and he's sitting at
That's
the
the
top
reality.
of the tree. Yeah, that's the reality. He's sitting at the top of the tree, and he had Brian Ortega, which would have been an incredible fight. So I'm glad.
Fantastic fight, fantastic matchmaking. I do think they'll reschedule. If I'm not mistaken, Volk has COVID. I don't know if it'll stay in Vegas though. I think he should. I think he should get over it in Vegas, not have to go through the whole quarantine process again, and come back out strong. I see a video of Ortega eating like stuff you would eat in camp, right? Like just boring chicken and rice. He's like, I'm staying on my diet. Like, that might be a clue that they're looking for a fast turnaround, but we just don't know. But I am gutted about this, because the X and O's of this fight is a very interesting fight. This is a prime example of MMA math not working out right, because Max beat Ortega pretty handedly. We all know about Max and Volkanovski, but Volkanovski versus Ortega, that's a more competitive fight maybe. We just don't know, like styles make fights, and this just shows it. What are your thoughts? What are you feeling?
From what I've seen of Brian
Do you think they'll
Ortega,
reschedule?
firstly, they're going to reschedule because I'm going to be really annoyed if not. So that's that, Dana.
Yeah.
Secondly, that's that. That's all I need to say
Yeah.
on that one. I mean, he listened to Darius Tony, so don't stop now.
Yeah.
The second point on it is I've been seeing a lot of Brian Ortega. I've seen a lot of his training. I've just seen his sort of interviews and whatnot. And when you just get that slight feeling from someone, because of course all fighters say, it's the best I've ever felt. This is the best camp I've ever had. This is the quickest. They all say that. We know it. But when you watch enough of them, you can sort of see the discrepancies between them and see who's legit.
The eyes don't lie.
The eyes don't lie, and there was something about Brian Ortega that he just looked a scary guy behind those eyes. I just feel like he had things in the works just for us, and I was so looking forward to it, if I haven't said already.
And if you go off last performance as well, him against Zombie, Bald Ortega was just boxing him up. He looked very dangerous, and like he got outboxed in his last fight before that by Max, right? Which everyone gets outboxed by Max, but that was the weakness, quote unquote, and he showed that he's made that a strength of sorts now. So he's definitely new and improved. And he's such an interesting puzzle of a fighter, because he's got vicious knockout power. And then if you're a wrestler, do you really want to take him down? It's such a high level of jiu-jitsu that sometimes it's more ag than it's worth,
This is his sort of thing. So he was saying before on an interview that I was watching that people who sometimes come in as wrestlers, let's say, then start boxing, and then their hands start getting better, and then they almost sort of leave wrestling in the behind, just like, oh, okay, I need to use wrestling, let's go. But he just said, like, he hasn't sort of stuck to one USP and angled more towards something. He just says he's so well-rounded, and he is. And I think the thing that's really good about Brian Ortega is we've sort of seen a little bit of everything now, and his loss, and if you're going to get a loss, it's going to be something like that to Max Holloway, because that gives you a ton of experience, and it gives you looks at some of the best guys, one of the best guys to ever do it at that division. So that's invaluable in itself. But the truth of it is, we just can't sleep on Volk. Like, you just cannot sleep on Volk.
No, you can't.
But it's so easy to. Why is it easy to? Can you answer that for me? Like, why?
Because people somewhat invalidate his spot as a champ, right? Because those fights were so close. But you forget before that, he's got wins over Aldo. He got a stoppage win over Mendez. Like, he's got some good wins, and he's a legit champion. You know, he won that belt. It might not have been the most convincing win, but it's a win nonetheless, right? I think he might have a bit of a chip on his shoulder, as you would about that Max Holloway thing. You got to think he spent probably a good portion of his life trying to get hold of that belt, and now people are sort of saying that he didn't win it. You know, so he probably feels a bit of disrespect from the fans. And I think he'll go out there with something to prove, try and get a finish. Bah, bah, bah.
Rightfully so as well. I think with a record, obviously it wasn't at the time, but I mean, you've got a record like 22-1, and people are trying to almost invalidate your belt. I mean, you look at Izzy's records, not too dissimilar to that, and obviously he didn't have those sort of fights, close fights that we're sort of arguing. But if you look at it for black and white, what is he's a champ, and he's got there through his skill and hard work. And however much I feel like Ortega's going to bring a lot to the table, we can't look past Volk. But the interesting thing that sort of just added a little bit of spice onto this is Brian Ortega said he said it was close, but if you had a gun to his head, he'd probably pick a fight with Max Holloway over Volk for the title. He just said he doesn't feel like a champ until he gets that win. So and it is a big if, because again, I'm not overlooking him. If he is to get a win against Volkanovski, it just sets up the most perfect title fight for Max and Ortega, of course.
Yeah, let's be honest. Whoever wins this fight, Max is fighting him next. There's no doubt about it. Like, Max is getting the winner after that performance against Qatar. It would be irresponsible for you to put him in there with anyone but a champion. He'd start hurting people.
I'm going to say disrespectful, and I'm going to say irresponsible. Irresponsible is because
He'll hurt someone.
Look what he done to Calvin Kattar. Just boxing.
Who's no joke. Who is no joke. That guy is so dangerous. People sleep on that performance. Well, they don't. They say it's one of the best performances ever, but it's almost hard to quantify how high that skill level is to actually like put that into words without actually kind of demonstrating.
Got goosebumps. Honestly, I swear to God, that performance, I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's the best performance I've ever watched. I don't know what it was, but that fight honestly just resonated with me. I felt like I was on an adrenaline rush until the next card I watched. Generally, for a week, I was on this like Max Holloway like rush until the next Saturday. It was like whatever time it was when it finished, I was like straight on YouTube. I was just watching it all. I was watching it all again. I was like, it was just it had everything you want and more really in a UFC fight from one particular fighter.
Sheer dominance. Beautiful performance. Interesting to see how this little triangle at featherweight's going to play out. They're going to rebook this fight realistically. When, we don't know, but we will cover it when it does go down. But until then, we only know one thing: foul shall.
We're going to find out.
There we go. As always, people, you know the vibes. Thank you for the support, all that good stuff. If you like us, like the video, subscribe, and subscribe, and plenty more to come from us.
That's me pointing at our handle. That should be our Instagram handle here. This little one.
That'd be elegant. elegantly edited in.
Hopefully that is. It should appear somewhere here. But as always,
Beautiful.
peace.